Kujiego, Wibu Nura, Mini Nura Wubelan, Katanga, Yawatunga, Burbaga, Baraga, Warlan, Narama Rong, Dangaga, Marambo, Bilaga Birang Bilaga, Bogar Gabirang, Gurwa Gu, Wanibo Ganyala, Wanibo Ganye, Ni Rumba Baragata, Nirun, Marong, Marambo.
So I guess if you could just start with talking about what is a genogram from a definition standpoint.
Being a genealogist with Burrun Dalai, I guess genograms are basically family trees, highlighting a person or a child down the bottom and working your way up, finding out who's who in the family means a lot. It tells us who we are, where we come from, who your mob is.
I think, for me, I think for our children, genograms, and especially the way Harry does them, genograms are information for those kids about their belonging, about where they're connected to, and about things that are very special to their family. What Harry finds out through his journey through their history is, they might have really famous warriors in their family, they may have very famous women that have done lots of things. So it gives our kids a sense of pride, but it also gives them a sense of, I guess, knowing their history, knowing where they're connected, what country they come from, and I think that's really, really important for our kids.
Gives a big smile on my face. I know I've done my work right. And in doing those genograms too, I know that I've given them something, that connection to mob. So I can sit down, or the caseworker can sit down with them and say, hey, look, young Billy, this is you down here, this is your uncles and aunties, this is your grandparents, and you're related to these people over here and them people over there. That's a good story for them. Yeah.
It just gives them a sense of pride, and I think it just grows their roots.
Yeah, just another thing too, like when they come out of care as well, they want to find their family, they know where they are, they know where to go, they know who to speak to.
It's like the next step to the rest of their life.
The way I do it, I do a story about the child or the young person, growing up, a little bit about their parents, a little bit about their family history, what I can find, the genograms, and convey it that way. It's a story about you. This is your life, basically. This is your family.
I think it's your belonging. I think when you look at that and you start to expand on all of your family and where they all are and who, do you know what I mean? That's where you belong. It's so nice to see kids become really excited.
And they're just not done once. Like they're a document that continues to grow. Families continue to grow. The more time you invest in families, the more time you create spaces where family want to talk. The more time that children get with their families, the more information about their family they're going to learn. And through our cultural support plans, we have a lot of those things around stories that are actually important from your family that get passed down. So it's the start of a wonderful outcome for children. The one that Harry did for us at Gunnedah, we have a young non-verbal, he's got heavy NDIS support, living with his non-Aboriginal maternal grandparents, and Harry done the genealogy, the family tree for him, and not only did Harry come back with this amazing document that gave him a lot of his Aboriginal family information, there was a lot of information that the non-Aboriginal family actually didn't know themselves. The grandparents were blown away by this document that was produced, and they just seen us in a different light from then. It was a relationship that we had to build. I remember doing the assessment on them, and I thought, wow, these guys are going to be shocked coming into an Aboriginal agency, and they came in, and that was a real turning point in the relationship. And now they just absolutely love our agency, and they wrap all of this around the young fella, and just because he's got high needs, it's still a very important document. It's been important to his non-Aboriginal grandparents, but then also him, his parents, that they've got it all. It's amazing. It was a really powerful one, that one, for our whole office.
All of our families have trauma. Like, there isn't a family in Australia that hasn't had someone removed, or and I think for me, you know, the current rate of, you know, 53% of all kids in care being Aboriginal is a big reflection on the fact that there has not been very much done about how our communities were affected by the removal of our kids. And I think kids, all kids, even, you know, kids that come into care for reasons other than abuse, they've still got a trauma history because they've been removed from their parents. And I think in lots of cases, people listen but they don't hear. You know, there's a big difference between listening and hearing. And the amount of trauma that comes out of some of our families is really difficult. And for us, we hear that all day, every day. And it is a difficult place to be. And it is, but it's also about making a difference.
If you're going to go in and you're going to talk to family, you need to, whatever ideas you have before you go in there, you need to throw them all out the window. You need to have that respect, you need to talk to them, you need to include them, and generally listen to what they're saying. Don't go in there dressed up like we are today. Just dress casual, somewhere that's neutral, and you'll find that you will engage them.
A lot of time they want to know why you want the information too, because, you know, information that's been gathered in the past about Aboriginal people is used for different purposes, and a lot of time it was used to remove kids. So the thing that I think, as Harry said, to be respectful and tell them why you're there and what you want it for. Time
is really important. Giving time to that family and supporting the family on, you know, in finding out their own information too. As an agency, we acknowledge how hard it is to work in this sector and in this field. So identifying your own, I guess, trauma and your own family, I guess, situations, wrapping that support around the kids and helping them through those difficult behaviours and times. And I think one thing that helps me do that is I reflect on the adults that are in my circle, in my family and in my community, and there's adults that can't voice the way they feel, and there's adults that lash out, and there's adults that have behaviours. And so if grown adults can't translate their feelings and their needs into language, how do we expect young children to do that? Yeah. And so that kind of makes me take a step back when you're entering or viewing something and go, okay, what's going on here and how can we support? How can we just find out what's going on? It's an Aboriginal child's right to know who they are and where they belong, and where their land is, where their belonging place is, what their language is, what their cultural practices are. I think now we're revitalising a lot of those things, but it's their right. And the Human Rights Commission says that, because family is everything.